So this is a very special, unique nature reserve, unlike any other nature reserve in Israel, maybe in the world. And why is that? We have over here a unique combination. It's always very hot. We are in a very low elevation. At the moment, we are 1,000 feet under sea level. It's never get cold over here. Okay. On the other hand, we have constant supply of water. So when you have high temperature and you have water, you have humidity. We have like mini tropical climate over here. A bubble of tropical climate that remind us of times that the entire desert over here had a different weather. In the past, the weather in the desert was different, but gradually the land dried up and became arid. But this remained the last resort, a tropical heaven, and many animals and trees survived here, and a unique climate in a bubble that originally they are coming from, or we can see them today in tropical Africa, such as the leopards that today most of them have been hunted, the rock oryx that we may see, the ibexes and others. Okay, so this is a very unique place. We have very unique animals, including some endemic species. Endemic means that we can find them only here and not in any other place in the world. One of them is the famous serpent of En Gedi, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. No chance we're going to see it because it's live underground, so unless you're going to dig, you won't find it. And others. Human learn to use this tropical climate and practice unique form of agriculture on the slopes of the mountains over here. From biblical time, they grew over here in a small community, one of the most expensive materials in the world. It was a unique perfume called the persimmon, and it worth its weight in gold. 1 kilogram of this perfume worth 1 kilogram of gold. So I understand it was very expensive. And because of it, because it was so expensive, the people of En Gedi wanted to protect the secret with their life. So they made a habit that each person in the community, each family, they knew only part of the process of perfecting the perfume. So one family knew how to plant and how to seed. The other one knew how to harvest. And they kept the secret with their life. So no one could come and take over the place and force them to give him the secret. But En Gedi is also famous for one of the biblical events. So I'm reading from Samuel 24. And it happened when Saul turned back from the Philistines that they told him, saying, Look, David is in the wilderness of En Gedi. And Saul took 3,000 picked men from all Israel and went to seek David over the rocks of the wild goat. And he came to the sheepfolds along the way, and there was a cave there. And Saul went in to relieve himself, while David and his men were sitting in the far end of the cave. So Saul at this point is looking to behead David, that is his son-in-law, by the way, and is the chosen one of God. And we know that by now Saul already lost his mind. And he's going to look for David, and David finding shelters in the cave over here in the desert. And Saul and Gedi, I told you yesterday, En means spring, Gedi means the wild goats. So Saul went to attend his needs. Even a king need to attend his need in the morning with the coffee and the newspaper. And David is hiding in the cave, and Saul does not notice him. And David's men say to him, Here is the day that the Lord say to you, Look, I am about to give your enemy into your hands, and you may do to him whatever seems good in your eyes. And David rose and stealthily cut off the skirt of the cloak that was Saul's, And it happened then that David was smitten with remorse because he had cut off the skirt of the cloak that was Saul's. And he said to his men, "The Lord forbid me that I should have done this thing to my master. The Lord anointed to reach out my hand against him, for he is the Lord anointed." I think it's really, really beautiful. Once again, I already told you yesterday about David lamentation, how he's not forgetting how great Saul was. And he does not say, "Oh, Saul was terrible, he left me so much thing that I need to fix." No. And David said, "No, no, he was anointed, he was chosen one. There was something in him, there's still some seed in him, and I cannot raise my hand against him." So I think this is something really, really, really beautiful. And I think we also need to learn a lesson over here. There will be many people that will tell, "Oh, this is what God tell you to do. Oh, this is what God meant for you to do now." Okay? We need to be extra careful when we try to uh, uh, um, claim that we understand the will of God. It's not for everyone to say, "Okay, I understand the will of God and God wants that and that." No, we need to be extra careful. We need to act with prudence. We need to be very, very humble, not to assume that we know everything and we understand everything. According to the traditions, David, that's supposed to be king. He is married to the king daughter. He was there in the palace. He understood what good life meant for a king. Instead of it, and instead of acting with violence, and instead of bringing down Saul, he's choosing to hide here in the desert, in caves, with spiders and scorpions and the most poisonous snake in the world. This is a great, I would say, for anyone. This is a disaster. You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to have something else. But when David is in this dire situation, this is when he has the muse, and this is when he found the time to praise God. And according to the tradition, this is when David is coming up with his beautiful songs that we know from Psalms. When he's here, when he suffer, when he's down, he understood one thing. It is up to God to uplift him. Okay? And he believe in it. And when you read Psalms, you understand that he is in distress, but he never loses faith in God. And this is beautiful, because many times when people are in distress, they tend to lose their faith. And the last thing that I will say, David knew how to make the difference. He understood that God's wish is very, very clear. It's not that God is against violence. It's not that God is against striking your enemy. You need to listen to him carefully. We should not forget that Saul was punished because he was not striking his enemy as God told him, the Amalekites. Okay, but it was never told to David to strike Saul. So he would not. He's extra careful with understanding what's God's command to him. And I think this is what makes him a great king. And this is what makes him the chosen one of God. That he understands that God has a plan for him and he needs to act in the name of God. Okay? So this is Ein Gedi, and this is a really, really popular place for the biblical story and for the historical reasons and for the nature reserves and for the water that are great fun. So we're going to walk a little bit to the first waterfall, and we have the opportunity to splash water and to go inside to the water if we want, or to just enjoy. It's really, really charming.